gender dynamics. Yes? It's a gender dynamics. And I'm not talking about you've been born male and they want you. That's not what I'm talking about. Right? What I'm talking about, gender, right, dynamics is this. Is that we believe, or we have drank the Kool-Aid that says that those who can succeed in family and business must be male. Yes? I'm not talking about the ones on the exceptions. Must be male. Example. I said I had a lecture at Dr. Bailey's church on Sunday, and I said this is going to repeat. Is that I have been doing research for the age of 2000. And let me pause and ask. Which do you believe is the most commonly named that is assigned to a family business in the Caribbean? And it is deliberately vague. And sons. And sons. Right across the Caribbean. And sons. As I said, it was only last year when I went to Antigua on University Business that I was able to see one undaughters. All unsons. But listen to this. Many of those unsons were named before the man married and have children. Unsons. And so what happened in many of these is that there are few, I would say many, I don't have the data to speak to the debate, but a few of them, they have large families. Why? They have 10 children, but the 10th one is a son, the only son. Trying to get a son to justify it. So what? No. Think about it. What has that done to the 9 girls? To say to them that, listen, this is not for you. Yeah? Talia Lynn, who is the founder of Island Green. Yes? I did an article because I do an article every month in the Gleaner, right? Talk about family businesses. And let me just put a plug for the RGR. At one point I was, up to last year, in October, I was chairman of TPJ, and I was also deputy chairman of the RGR Greener Communication. No, step back and so on. Volunteer, all right? But Talia Lynn, point of view, she said that when she studied on the States and when she went back and wanted now to take over the business because of the wage and all of that, her father discouraged her because she's a girl. And remember, she's Chinese. So therefore, and I'm not saying that they're pejorative. I'm saying that within that ethnic group, they are more accommodating of any of people in this. You get my point? But then the father said, no, this. And then she had to start her own business. Yes? And she has got over that pain, of course. And so what am I saying? I'm saying to you ladies, I'm begging you, in the name of common sense, yeah? And the name of Jesus for those who call his name, that please do not wittingly or unwittingly drum in the head of your girls that this is not. Yes? We need to change the paradigm. And how can the people in diaspora, you can do that in diaspora by saying that, listen, when I give so and so, I want this now to be used exclusively, if you please, to develop the talents of my girl, that's what it's all for. We need to change that. Because studies have shown that businesses which are headed by women are now doing better than men. Yeah? Yes? Honey bun which is an outstanding family-owned business, which I've been doing work with for a little while, headed by this outstanding leader, Michelle Chung. Yeah? Talia Lina, I make reference. Yeah? Manpower, yes? We're talking about it, Edgecliff. Good. We need to give more power. And I'm not here saying that we now need to create an imbalance. I'm not saying let's create a balance. Yes? And stop telling our children that they are talented, so therefore they need to become doctors and lawyers. That's fine. But if they want to do business, support them. Because wealth creation, yes, is within. Going back a little bit, which I forgot to mention with regard to the education, all of that. That what people of African ancestry, when they start business, the data show that, and I'm going to use we do not start business for the purpose of wealth creation. The data shows that. We do business to take our children to educate our children. Because the antecedent tells us that the social mobility can come through the education. Yes? Because you can't speak to Busher. You can't speak to those and all of that unless you can speak well. And so therefore we see education as a social way to. Nothing is wrong with it. It is so. Yeah? And just proven in my case. And I say that with pride. My mother died when I was 4. I got to know my father when I was 9. I've never been to a high school. When I was 9, I could not read. Yeah? Is education by virtue of people coming around and all of that. Yeah? And the good Lord deposited something between my ears and all of that was developed. I wouldn't have reached where I reached unless education. Because I'm not big name like you. Yeah? I'm not on legacy like you. It's education. So education is important as a social life. Yeah? However, the Chinese believe this. The Indians believe this. The Syrian Lebanese believe this. However, they combine that with business acumen. And so therefore, when we talk about business in Jamaica, we don't think of people who are African. We say Chinese. It's not that we can't. It's that we have been shut up in a little corner to believe that we can't. We need to break and shackle ourselves. I'm saying that the people in diaspora have a role. Yeah? So we need to say that, right? So let's talk about the ethnic dynamics. I touched on that in terms of the dynamics play out in Jamaica. Again, there was a time when we were saying that Jamaica was controlled by 21 families, right? We are glad and happy to say that is not the case. So we have more people, in all of that. We have this guy who can't remember, Christian, Glenn Christian, right? And we have other people, yeah? But the ethnic dynamic, what the ethnic dynamics are played out though, is that there needs to be more representation of children or from the African ancestors and all of that to be in fact, right? For way too long for them. Yeah? Because again, another studies have shown that and we talk about education system, if you don't capture the children before they start CSEC or CHC, that's to say, that's the final external exam that they do before they leave before. If you don't capture them before that, invariably, it's very difficult to bring them back in the business for them. Because at that point, that's a decision making, that's an inflection point we call it. And we should help them to make that. Yes? I did a family business advice in Ghana. And the family was Muslim. And the father started business. He had 3 children, right? A twin boy and a girl. And they were a pharmacy. And they influenced that family. And all three of them end up reaching the point where their masters in pharmacy. And they went back and worked in the business. Of course, the girl, because of conflict and all of that, she got her share and all. Now, I'm not asking you for imposition, to impose. But my point is expose them to what there is. Yeah? Don't burn them away from family. Because the state of business in the family and most of the wealth in the Caribbean come from. Yeah? Let me talk about what is referred to as the familyless dilemma. Now, familyless is a term, is a construct which measures the, the, the impact or the scope of influence of families on this. So we talk about family. So I call it a dilemma because there are two types of familyness. There is what is referred as the distinctive familyness, and there's a constrictive family. Now, the constrictive is like a constrictor. Squeeze the blood out of it. It's important not because it's a family business, mean that every family must. Some must have silly business and not even touch it with a tenfold. They're constricted. It's to identify and keep them out. But then there's this distinctive family. Unfortunately, we have not governed our family business as effective as they ought to be governed. And so we have not done enough to now make a distinction. So therefore, everything in the pot. And before we know it, the business. My point is, there's a long way of saying that we need to govern our family better. Right? And there's a point I was going to say that we can't run like a party shop. I can't say that anymore. How much you got juicy party? Can't say it like a party shop anymore. By the way, juicy party is a family business. Started and a blessed soul started in his mother's kitchen, Rocky Point. Not far from where I used to live and where Dr. B used to live, Rocky Point. Went to Glenview High School. And while he was there, he was, go home and make it better and so on. He was not discouraged. Yeah? But must be careful that we govern and all of that. And so because of the absence of governance sometimes it falls. All right? And then we're going to talk about now replacement and succession. Right? So that's this one way. Replacement versus succession. Again, this is one of the areas that is killing that. Because most times, rather than having succession plan in place, we have a replacement plan. What's the difference? A replacement is allowing somebody to fill the seat when the seat gets too hot for you, right? You become incapacitated, you can't go any longer, and so on and so forth. And so therefore you come and replace. You're not prepared. Yes? And so we see succession as a moment rather than as a process. Yeah? And so therefore I want to spend a little bit of time before you and all of that. Henry Ford, right? Who said that this coming together is beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success. Yeah? You have to learn that what that has been developed, right? And then Proverbs, a good plan today is better than a perfect plan, right? And not to exalt myself, I must put up one, right? One of those quotes. They said succession, again, succession is not equal to replacement. Good? And then we have a situation, so family business succession is not equal to replacement. And in fact, Audrey Incliffe, who is the head of Manpower, she called me up maybe about 2+ years. And Dr. Niholson, I heard that you and all of that, and I want something. She had 2 children. One, 4, the medical doctor, and she's over here, but she had a son, but she didn't believe that her son was the ID person. Yeah? And and so we did some data gathering and so on, and spent quite a bit of time. And the point I want to make is that she recognized 2 years prior to her wanting to exit as at least a CEO before and started the succession. Had she not done that, she wouldn't have been able to identify. You have to start early. Yes? And in fact, may I suggest that those who are here who want to start business, you must, the moment you are starting a business, you must think in terms of succession. Why? Because the name you give your business will have an impact. So some people give their names on all of that. The Ansons, while it's on all of that, it becomes difficult to sell that business. In fact, it devalues. Because why am I going to buy this business? Anson. We now have to keep the name. And if I can't keep the name, it means that goodwill, the value of goodwill would have to be subtracted from the value. So all of those things is yeah. And then one Lawrence Niholson, there's a quote from him, right? That there will be no lasting family and business wealth from family-owned business in the absence of principles, purpose, and profit. My point is, you don't get into business for charity. You must be driven by principles. You must have a purpose for profit, which is where the wealth comes in. Yes? Create wealth. Not to boast and be on the mountaintop and so on, but to what? To help community. To be at the table, to be part of this. Yeah? And so what happened? This is what happened in family business. We need to avoid what I call the tyranny of the convenient. So family business succession. The data shows that a successful family business succession will be driven by a coming together of the willingness, the capability, and the ability. What do I mean? You find that because of the same thing I talk about, okay, you guys you will do medicine and so on, that those who are willing to carry on the family business, most times not capable, and they're not available. And then there are those who are capable, we know their capability, but they're not willing. They're not willing. And so what happens? Invariably, the one who takes over the business by replacement, because the owner and the founder said, well, you're here, you're working the business, well, you're here, but not so bright. And then we measure in being bright through certification. I say it again. We use certification to measure bright. But I've found out in my short time that there are many who are certified but devoid of education. Again, there are too many who are highly certified but they are devoid of it. Yeah? Certification is nothing. Yeah? And many times the one who's available is the one who is asked. Because you're here, take what it is. But not necessarily willing based on, right? And forced into, and based on your measurement now. Shown that is when we come together, when we can now have these three combined. And it might not necessarily be at the point of taking over it. The capability here is not only measured by the competence of a particular area, it's a willingness to learn. Yeah? So that part of the capacity to learn. Yeah? And so my point is that as we help to guide our family, because many of you, your own family, you're here, and you send remittances, and so on, and so we go there now. So we needed a paradigm shift. Is there a role for carry? Goes to carry. This is our traditional role, current role. Remittances, investment, entrepreneur. Yeah? Send remittances. Yeah, nothing's wrong with that. Yeah, but what happened? This is and all of that. Remittances from Latin America and Caribbean and all of that. We have in 2024, the remittances in US and all of that to the Caribbean and America was 161 billion. Let's say that. 161 billion remittances across the Caribbean and yeah, this is how it's broken down. 19.7 to South America, 40.5 Mexico, Mexico, Central America 28.4, the Caribbean 11. Yeah. Now let's break it down a little bit. Yeah. We have here, okay, it's big on all of that, but let's do it on Jamaica City, all right? 2024, 3.4 billion. Yeah, which represents between 17 to 20% of Jamaica GDP. Now, let's contextualize it. Given what's happening within the space, yeah, where DT said, you know who DT is, that listen, in the big beautiful bill, 5% now should now be taxed and so on. Well, they call all of that put down to 1. Yeah? But that 1%, listen up. If say up the 3 point and all of that, I come in Oliver, I see you agitating. That's okay. Right? So of the 3.4, let's say it's two million, 2 billion rand coming from the US. Yes? To Jamaica. That represents 20 billion, which now going to be there. Now the Caribbean is gonna suffer if the situation that, yes, listen, I'm here and I usually send $100. If I do not make a decision, I'm going to absorb that 1% and still send you 100. Yeah? Was a situation that I'm going to take on the 1% and so. Then right away we see the shrinking. Yeah? Now we can't control what we can't control. What we can control is to say that the remittances that's coming to the Caribbean, we want a new rule. We want for you to think of it and so on. So we need to be intentional and deliberate in what we ask remittance to be done. And one of the things that we need to be done now is an investment. Yes? We need to develop a situation where we need to be more strategic. And that strategy now should be to adopt a teach the fish approach than giving a fish. This is where you come in with regard to developing business families. So rather than sending money and all of that to families and so on that they're using, to listen, let's brainstorm. What are some business opportunities? I've been involved in terms of providing some equity. But there comes a point, especially what's happening within the space, that you would not be able to give as you'd have wanted. But then you would have developed some kind of equity, some business that they don't give, they want to send it back money by virtue of what the business would have done. So we need a new paradigm. And I'm saying to you that family business is a seed of what? It's a low hanging. Yeah? So that part of goal, and that I believe can create some lasting wealth within the Caribbean, where the wealth is there. Too long as members of the diaspora, we have been given this. It's time for us to change. Not asking that again, but to teach. Take that approach. And one avenue through which that can be done is to get them. Or get us, if you please, to develop. Right? So I come to that. Unlike I end some quotes. Unlike wealth, there is an infinite value to legacy. Leave a legacy. Rather than legacy is for you to be self-sustained. Right? Within the family. Legacy isn't built overnight in family business, proven over years of sheer challenge and trouble. It never happen over there. Yes? Unfortunately, we in a microwave era. What's happening? No. Or never. Yeah? And then Warren Buffett or someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree. No. If the tree has not been planted, let's plant it on and let it call family business. Yes? And then family business don't just pass down wealth, they pass down values, traditions, and the spirit of country. My point is, I find generally that family business and all of that carries with them the core values of society. Yes? And the society falling back by the steam and all of that. I spoke to Dr. Bailey's church. I'm going to introduce that in the company, right? Because I get the feel that you're hallelujah people. So one of the areas and all of that that we need to know is the role of the church. The role of the church. The church has not done enough to develop entrepreneurship among. Yes? And so we need those of us who are in that space to speak to the leaders and say, listen, yeah? Rather than having to buy a big jet for yourself, yeah? Let the leadership come together and say, listen, 10% of what's collected all of it, we are now going to allow that to be aligned and all of that, to now invest in people in the church, to start your own business. To give them loan. I said, come up with a business plan, proper business plan. Just proper, develop a business plan. Invite people who know about come and speak to people in the church. And develop business within families. The more you know it, the more they grade, the more you get back. Because the 10% of 100 is less than 10% of, yeah? On the, on the assumption that you're trying. My point is, the paradigm must change. Yeah? The paradigm must change. So in the Caribbean, right? So this is where the talks come in. You have questions, I might have answers. Yeah? So let's go. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but how many persons were deeply inspired by this community? We've had many lectures. Sorry, I didn't have my blue slide. And very practical, important, terms of mind and how to deal with that and give back home to important. But we're going to take a few questions. I'm sure you'll have some. We're going to open the platform. But before you do that, I want to listen, I've known this gentleman for years. And some elements of his story I had no idea. So I see in our whole like my brother, humble, down to earth, and I'm being actually share something. So I want to know public that not. Challenges get overcome with having the right mindset and what you have achieved, the living testimony. That's not the important. So question.
Yes.
Yeah, my first question concerns the matter of education,
Yes.
which is an investment
Yes.
that rather than just send money back home
Yes.
for concrete structures,
Yes.
to begin to see individuals who we can invest in,
Yes.
whatever they want to,
Yes.
but it's an investment in a person.
Right.
Do your statistics show where the money is going in terms of how it's used when it goes back home?
No. What I don't know. I will regard as official statistics.
Yeah.
But the truth is that most of the money that goes is really for consumption. Yeah? And so on. But then you're again going back to my antecedent, when I was at University of the West Indies, I used to learn to lie on my belly, yeah, because I didn't have anything to eat. But when there was but when there was plenty, I ate plenty. What's the point? The point is that if you continue to give, there's always the capacity to absorb. Yeah? And so the more you give is the more they're gonna expand and more. But they can now satisfy that hunger for themselves, invest in education. That rather than now asking, they'll be able to provide. And hopefully, able to provide for others. Yeah? And so I stand with you with regard to education investment. And I'm saying that people in diaspora need to be more intentional and strategic in saying that we need to develop capital, human capital, rather than giving. So I'm not here asking for a contraction of the giving. I'm just saying that be more strategic and intentional when you give it and develop. Because eventually there's no need for you to give because they would have at least reached a point.
I have a question.
Yes.
I am Diana. I'm a registered nurse, and I'm a product of coordination.
Good. Good.
I would love to see what you operate. I'd love to see what you create your workshop in coordination. More concise,
Yeah.
people's language, because what you're offering is what mine. Because coordination man, us, people that handsome about it. Is there any way you could conceptualize like workshop or stuff like that? Or something for them? Because
You mean people in coordination market?
yes,
One. Okay, I go to coordination. I see my friends. I go to coordination market every 2 weeks.
wow.
In fact, in my growing up, up to age 9 plus and all of that, I used to live between Arnett Garden and Tivoli Garden. I used to go to coordination market on a Sunday because my brother with whom I live, his common law wife that became his wife eventually, and they were manager funds, and they would send me to the market on a Sunday. Why? Because the people were packing up to go home. Yeah? And so therefore, most of the things that I would not take home were free. And so therefore, when banana ripe on them and the speckle, they used to just give me, I said, little boy, and so I used to get those. And so therefore, I am bedded correct. So I go to every and I don't, the only flesh I eat is fish. I haven't eaten other meat since 2004. And so therefore I go to coronation market for my blood. But when I'm in coronation market, you're asleep. I'm in coronation market like 5:50 in the morning. Yeah? But then when I come home and all of that, my wife will say, what are you doing now? Because I'm speaking to them. I speak to people in coronation market. In fact, one of my success stories and all of that, I identified this young lady in coronation market when she was in third form. And there were there were 3 generations at the store. The grandmother, the mother, and 2 children. And when I start talking to them, and then she's third form, and there's a place she didn't want to be there. And I start talking to her and all of that, and asked her what she wanted to do. She wanted to be a lawyer. I said, "Oh, you're gonna do the law? You need to change your attitude and help your mother." And over time, I asked mother permission and mentor. When she reached 5th form, I said to her that, listen, if you pass 5 CX with 1, I will, for every one you get, I'm going to give you $500. I said that's no money, but that's what I could afford. When she passed and all of that, she got 5 ones and I think 3 2s. I put the money on. By the way, I went, and gentlemen, it's important. I went home and I told my wife that if you get a call and all of that, a female, but I'm not in any hanky-panky, right? And so I put her money in the envelope, took it down and all of that. Yeah? Weeks passed and she was very glad. And I said, okay, I'm giving another incentive. For every 1 that you get at K, right? That's A level for some people, right? I'm going to give you $1,000. But I thought through it, and which is now teaching people to fish. I said, no. I said, when you come to the University of West Indies, as part of our entitlement, we get book grant. So I'm saying for every semester that you're there, I'm going to give you at least $15,000 in books. Yeah? When she got in, she applied, she told she come and said, sir, and then I found out that her father died when she maybe about 4. So it's the problem. And she said, sir, I don't want to do law anymore. I said, why? But I found out that she was saying she didn't want to do law because she realized that she computed that her mother would not be able to afford it. So she would have to go to Barbados before. Right? And I said, okay, I said, fine. I said, what do you want to do? So she wanted to do economics. I said, fine. And she got into economics. Yeah? And during the time I mentored her. Yeah? And I got a part-time job for her and so on and so forth. But she was struggling because she didn't know how to study and work. And I went to the principal, Professor Gordon Shirley, and said, we have to say this one. And we worked and all, was able to secure a city bank scholarship, full scholarship. She got a first class honors in econ. Yes. She went and then worked, and then she went and did a master's in econ and so on. Now she's in the US and all of that working and so on. My point is, I tried to walk the talk. Yeah, and so on. So I, for example, maybe it's a long time since I've spoken at length without dabbling the vernacular more. Yeah? Yeah, because when I'm in Coronation Market, yeah? Yes.
So continue with the educational thread. Well, as a man in education with high esteem and renown, very
Yeah.
well known, what could you potentially do to change what's being taught in schools? It talks about education, but Pythagoras' theorem might not help anybody in the classroom.
Yeah.
But learning financial literacy, compound interest, how money can work for you,
Yeah.
that is a more important.
Yeah, so well, one, anywhere I go, I give a little tidbit about my story, not to exalt myself, but to be the vortex of attention. But for anyone here who might have family member and say you can't do it, you can know what. So I give talks and avail myself. Yeah. I've also uh, worked through foundation. That's a Honeybun Foundation that seeks to build capacity among small business, especially the entertainment industry, and I've given workshops in terms of family. So I'm always available to contribute. Yes, and on campus as University of the West Indies, I engage students and say, okay, I tell the story, you learn all of that, you go next. So I do what I can do, and so on. And many times, but I don't try to change the world because I'm not in that space. DT is in that space. Yeah? I'm the space where I'm in the corner, so I'm trying to work with it. So I try to. Yes? Yes, sir.
Just from observation,
Yes.
most of the success business,
Yes.
taking out the United States, because here they public
Yeah.
stuff. But in Jamaica, most of the family business,
Yes.
they may not become global.
You mean from Jamaica?
Yeah,
Well, I wouldn't say most. I wouldn't say most of them.
the large ones that
Well, global in the sense that they export and so on. You're talking about in terms of, for example, by the way, as I said, Grace Kennedy was not a family. It embraced a principal family. But yes, for example, Honeybun Separate is another. I wouldn't say most. I don't know that I have the data to say. Yeah, but many of them. But nothing is wrong with that because again, we have there are many who embrace the thought that and I know that's not the point you're making. That family business, as I said, is the corner shop and so on. But yes, you start small and you develop another. But without the support and a vision and a purpose, then you remain here. And if you start the business not for wealth creation, then when you reach this point, you're satisfied because your children have been educated and you know you can come out of business. And you can just say bata bata until it's dead. Yeah? And I'm saying I want to, that's a vision I want to say, to say, sir. That you start to develop on all of that, and the boundary should now be beyond Jamaica. Yes? Supported by that. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah. I mean, because just to expand a bit more, kind of mention it, you talk about paradigm, you talk about structural education system,
Yeah.
which it has been a very good job with what it wants to do, which is to create people to work for people.
Yeah.
However, my experience, and I've only experience in the classroom here, and I notice younger people
Yeah.
are now moving back. People that I know moving back into Jamaica and setting up business.
Yes.
Especially in the area of
Yes.
that's one thing that I know.
Yeah.
Right. So that phenomenon is taken
Yes.
already. That's what supported that I don't know, and I don't really get into that. But the school system, you mentioned about entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
What the university do have in a space.
Well,
Are not expanding the program.
no, actually, between when it started and when it is now, the capacity has been expanded. Yeah. For example, Five Island in Antigua, it's part of the university. So remember, university has different campuses, one in Detroit and so on. Then one in and so on. And the entrepreneurship in each of those regions and all of that expanded. So there has been a take. There has been a take.
And I came across a situation here recently.
Yes.
In a middle school.
Yes.
They're introducing entrepreneurship. Not a regular course, as usual.
Yeah. As a program. So my daughter around there, she went Andrews, and one of the and at the Cape level she did entrepreneurship was one of the like herself, but entrepreneurship was one course. So therefore entrepreneurship is in the high school level now. There was a time when people would have resisted that. Yeah. So my point is things are changing, but I'm also saying that the change can gain momentum and even be sustainable when all parties involved and all of that on board, including people in diaspora. And so, for example, there's a family of say five, and a student wants to go to university. There was a time when I suspect that the contribution will be more willing, or contributors more willing to give if the child is now doing law or medicine, but not be so willing to now support a child who's going to university and entrepreneurship. Yeah? And I'm saying that needs to be on board, part of what I'm saying. Yes, Dr. Bailey.
First of all, I want to comment that it's a great presentation.
Thanks.
Thank you. I don't bar question, and I think it comes out of the question, line of question. So a family here or wherever you do a presentation, before they came, they didn't want to do any family.
Yeah.
Right? And after they leave here, they think they want to try to do something. Talk to the family in Jamaica who has an idea of what would be their primary, what would be the primary objective that you recommend?
Yeah.
Question one.
Yeah.
Question two. There are those of us who have lived away from Jamaica for a while.
Yeah.
And some of us long to go back home.
Yeah.
More than others, right? But we don't want to go home and sit down.
Yes.
What area of business would you recommend that we explore in order to make some quick money?
Well, let me start. I don't suppose coming, right? But let me touch on it. Right now, an area which has capacity is agriculture.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, when I was doing a study on all of that, there are many in Jamaica who see agriculture as agriculture, not as a business. Yes? And so we need to see agriculture as more than a business. right? It's coming together, but not fast. With regard to you've been here and all of that, family. I'm saying part of what I'm saying, Clyde, is that listen, Paul has always been calling and saying, I need money to do that. Change the paradigm and say, Paul, right? I want the next 6 months for you to develop a business plan. Yes? About around a business idea. And send to me with regard to how you can now start a business and how I can now help you support that business. That one of these days you don't have to call me. Yeah? You must demand that. Those of you. Yeah? Demand that, and if he needs help to develop that and all of that, to the extent that you can say, okay, listen, there's a training program that you need to go to, but you need to be funded. I'm willing to fund that for you to go to that training program. Yeah, that's my point. Yeah? So we need to stop. So again, I need to repeat, right, ad nauseum, that I'm not suggesting a contraction of giving. I'm just saying the most strategic and deliberate and intentional is to give in order to build capacity. Yeah? Rather than to work. You need to learn to fish. Yes.
You said that they didn't do a succession, they did a replacement in sandals. Were you saying?
Yeah. I'm convinced. That succession was not as effective as it ought to or could have been. Yes, there were too many elements of replacement. Assuming, you see, learning doesn't take place through osmosis. The fact that I'm around you every day, yes, doesn't mean that I'm learning. You need to hold my hand, you just all this and all. Yeah, Adam was always around, based on the manifestation and all this. Grant you, let me not, I'm not very bright, but some of the decisions that I've observed that would be indicative of more replacement than success. For example, all that's happening now with the real estate, what's happening, the fighting and all, that shouldn't have been. Yes? Shouldn't have been. And so one of the things that I teach and all of that is developing some kind of trust, right? With the family business. For example, every family business and all of that, say, listen, do you have a will? Yeah? When you see in Jamaica and the Caribbean, we equate will to death. And so we ask you to write a will for I kill you, I kill me, I'm every day. Yeah? And so therefore, you find that beyond all of that, for example, Bob Marley. Listen, what's some of the biggest family business and all of that are this entertainment sector. And they're not doing well. I've been on IT, that's Ian, and so it was my student at the MBA program. I need to speak to these people. I need to speak. Yeah? Because they need to be educated. And by the way, quite a bit of this I do, and maybe I didn't learn from you and all of that. Part of it I do and all of that is free because I am so evangelical in my approach. Because as I said, if the last thing I can contribute to nation building is to people who don't know it, yeah? Hopefully they will have some kind of contribution some money. Yes.
All right. On the question that Dr. Bailey asked,
Yeah.
let us say that I have an idea, a business idea,
Yes.
but I don't have a business plan. Do you have a list of resources that you can
Yeah.
Like, where can we?
Take my number. The JBDC. There's an organization in Jamaica, and actually spoke to him yesterday. And because that's Harold Davis, and all of that, it was this lady, and she retired. There, and all of that. But Harold Davis and all of that, I spoke to him, but he was so busy and all of that. But one of the things he wanted and all of that, and this if you have an idea, yeah, and so on. I will tell him and all of that. So give me the same I give him right now and all of that, and I will speak to him with regard to it. Ready. It's ready. In fact, it's so ready to the point where, because if you can organize a workshop for him to come and walk us through how to establish this and all of that, areas of opportunities, and if how to develop and all of that. He has a team ready to go. Yeah, ready to go.
I just think there is like a disconnect between the people who have knowledge
Yes.
and the people who want and need the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like a part of that education that you're talking about
Yes.
is finding a way to bridge
Yeah,
that gap.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah, and as I said, there's a difference between being certified and being educated. Yeah? There are too many of us who are highly certified, but yes, yes. He said the last one, yes. 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 Family. Family. Family, right. That's to say, you have to create a balance between business and family. But you can't sacrifice family for business.
So all anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, trust. Yeah. 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 And for example, there there are some there are some governance structure within family business which are not analogous to other business. To say that they're not the same as other business. For example, there's what is referred to as family council. Yeah, family council is the highest area of decision making with regards to the family and the business, and usually it's made up of the core and all of that, and maybe in-laws based on the rule. Many of the family businesses are not governed by what is referred to as a family business constitution. For example, I have a business, I have children and all of that, and I get married and all of that. What are the rules that govern in-laws? Yeah, separation happens. Yeah, unfortunately, divorce. What is the rule that governs? Yeah. Now, people in business now, you feel entitled that okay, fine, I can drive a car and quite a bit of money, no. Oh, mommy, I want a car, daddy, I want a car. What rules govern that? So within the constitution and all of that, it needs to be laid out. Yes? So therefore, I do family business advising them. I don't call it consult. Yeah? I think consultants going in and tell you what to do. Yeah, family advising is stay and work. Yeah? And my point is that I've been helping family business now to develop family business constitution. And when you have that, everybody understands what it is. And there's a difference between family in business, but there are some of them in business and they just in the business.
What I hear you saying is strengthen the family.
Strengthen the family. Strengthen the family.
Yeah. Introduce
Yeah.
the
But it's not linear. It's not linear in the sense that you can't allow perfection to become enemy of the good. Yeah? So therefore, it can't be a case that you're going to wait until your family is perfect. Right. But my point is that because sometimes it's when you are in the trenches of hard times that you realize that we have to depend on each other. Yeah? But then it must be governed by principle and purpose in order to make progress. Yeah. My book is we have internet. But if you search, let me just search. If you search for Lawrence Nicholson, and then put in MSME, and put Caribbean, and put in some words in it, right? I don't know the exact title, and then put enterprise. So again, Lawrence Nicholson, MSME, yeah, Caribbean. Those I'm just giving some words. And when you just put Lawrence Nicholson, Caribbean, if you search that, you no, the PhD business I just that's a many. Lawrence Nicholson many. Yeah, the PhD is right. I don't mean label. Yeah. Yeah. Could somebody just search for it, please, and get the exact
understanding the Caribbean enterprise, insights from MSMEs and family
so
businesses.
Understanding the Caribbean enterprise, insights from MSME and family business, and I wrote it with this guy from Barbados. I thought it was important that I have an input from other person from Caribbean, for it to be a Caribbean book rather than a Jamaican. Yes. So again, thank you again. When I give this talk, as I said, with two mutually exclusive objectives. One, that either I would have improved your knowledge on the subject, or I would have rearranged your ignorance. It is my prayer that is the former, not the latter. All right? Thank you.
I'm going to invite Sure, please. Do my first week on the job.
Oh, Lord.
We sent for a church, it was that.
Yes. Okay. So this is evidence by what I was doing.
So I want to again thank my good friend, Dr. Niholson, for really a thought-provoking lecture. I feel moved to do something when I am brainstorming even as well. But this section, to do annual scholarship for Caribbean Studies at University of encouraging the art. But I do believe we should do something. But, anybody feeling that spirit here? Yeah. Yeah, man. So if you feel that spirit, raise your hand. I can touch on you just give me some dollars. I want to get quickly through some stuff. One, I want to acknowledge that they decided that she wanted to enter politics and became one of the first female commissioners for Sunrise in Jamaica. She's one of 27 Jamaicans in South Florida that have risen to the level of political power. And I want to acknowledge her, speak about the gender bias. No, that's one of them. Recognize Commissioner Clark. Let's give her a round of applause. When she goes to Ghana, she's like, when you host us at an event, proposal will reach her inbox and she will say yes. And it's a very special event. I also want to acknowledge former Vice Mayor for Sunrise, Mr. Douglas. For years, President of the Jamaica Union of Florida, Michelle helped to organize a 25-member delegation to Jamaica. Whereas we have our annual 5K, our 5K has adopted 6 clinics in Jamaica. And through the messaging, our region has adopted 6 in Jamaica for any organization around the world. And Michelle helped us with that. And all 25 persons who went fired up and our 5K ready. Yep. It's next year, May 9th. We've already registered 250 for the race.
That's right.
Jamaica High 5K Run.com. You're here and you have right now. All of this stuff. I want to acknowledge a gentleman who came to one lecture and he said, listen, you have my support. Every week, every month he comes here, sets up his bar, does it with a smile, own the business, and you receive certain things here, if it's a billionaire, money, everything he's talking here, company. But he gives and does it with a smile, and I want to support Coconuts and Cocktails and Sean Roberts. The heart of support. Everyone to sit on the flags of support. His logo on it, forget it. Believe, remind me. I didn't know crumble at all. It was come and our church, our Independence service is on August 3rd, Sunday, August 3rd at 3 p.m. It's going to be at Super City Church of God. We will leave from the church service and we'll go into our annual motorcade. We have a nice motorcade that we do every year, the community, and then we go to the other area for their show. This celebration. But our speaker this year is going to be Reverend Bailey, right? Who is here. I'm going to ask him to stand. So we look forward to one of the finest in the community. And our message here is proud of Jamaica, being proud and bold, celebrating the black, green, and gold. You hear it already, you know? Already coming in colors, ready to celebrate our country, our island. Think about the Talawa, Jamaica, conquering the world. And if you don't know it, if you haven't heard it yet, years in the diaspora, we talk about how the murder rate and rate to go home and all kind of things. And we have a diaspora conference. What crime? What crime? Big Jamaica's homicide rate is down by 45% year over year. Let's give it up for Jamaica. Our unemployment rate is the lowest it has ever been. Jamaica's 3.2%. Things that have never happened before, and we have to be excited about what's happening. So we hear more about that things that we can celebrate for Jamaica, especially during it. Talawa Metro Band, Ghana. So home this group who celebrates us every year. I'm making a trip to Ghana to perform in a festival. So we celebrate them and Valerie. Yes, celebrate Valerie from the library. To support it and the Talawa Mental Band. And we send them with our prayers and support. In closing, motorcade. Right, so the motorcade, so we leave church at 3 o'clock and the motorcade starts at 6. So we start in it late to allow people from a church service to go to the motorcade. We will start here, over Mark. We'll put it out. We'll put it out. We'll follow the pages. We'll put it out, and then we go to Lauderhill and part of the Independence concert. So we'll have a full day of activities. I know the beginners coming to cover it, and we'll have a good day of celebration. All right. So with that, I want to close and just acknowledge the partnership that we have here with Island Space. We do this every month, and it's a foundation that needs ongoing support. So, we don't take collection from the customer. We allow the Island Space that they need to keep going on. So when I just acknowledge that it's the only museum of its type in the United States, in the world, right? And so let's give it up for Island Space. Khalil comes to the
Thank you, hello. Here. All right, I like to use the microphone. It sounds nice and sexy. All right. First, I am going to do my homework. Cheryl gave me instructions on August 6th, right? Bishop. Bishop. And Rose Hudson Wilkin. No, I can't say it. Rose Hudson Wilkin, the first black woman to become a bishop in the Church of England and the bishop to Buckingham Palace, is going to be here at Island Space on August 6th for the Consul General's lecture series next month. So Independence Day next month, please join us for that amazing conversation. I think we're going to do it in a fireside chat format rather than lecture format, so it will be a little bit different, but it's going to be nice, right? So hopefully we'll see you all there at 6 o'clock sharp. Please, we're going to start by 6:30. As always, as I mentioned earlier on, we do our cultural tie-in at the end of the evening. So thank you to CG, thank you to our speaker, thank you to Sean, thank you to all of you for participating. You're going to see two lovely ladies with some baskets here. They're just going to pass them around. If you have your cash, we accept cash, Zelle, crypto, bank transfer. If you need the information, let me know. We do. It's give at Island Space. If you want to do PayPal or Zelle, we really do accept those. And I prefer 50s and 100s, but if it's 20 or 10 you have, we will gratefully accept those as well. I thank you all so much. You want this back?
And just to be clear, this is not a mandatory thing. I'm not throwing cold water on you. Because you don't pay to come, but it's a contribution. If you can, if you can't, don't feel pressure at all. Right? But if you can, and there's a way you can do it online too as well as you mentioned, become a monthly member. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for saying that, sir. So, as I shared, we have been defunded basically by the government. The way that you can help us the best is if you are willing to do that $10 a month, $25 a month, whatever you're willing to do. You go on the website, it's islandspacefl.org/membership, and you can set it up right there. All right? But we will accept whatever you have today as well.
And if you're here and you want to talk to me after about how we can do this scholarship, I believe every time you leave something in life, you should take action. And I believe that we should look at doing a scholarship. So if you want to be a part of that effort to talk to me after, we'd love to give a scholarship to the Mona business, just Mona School of Business, an annual scholarship, right? And we may take some of the funds from the our independent service that we could do towards that. Because mindset is important. You know, today, and it teach a man to fish. Right. So again,
All right. Yeah, two more announcements. I'm so sorry. Sweet and Dandy Independence Celebration is happening on August 2nd with DJ Mikey White. This is a Jamaican Women of Florida J.O. production. They have tickets there in the back. You see that lady over there in the black shirt? No, nobody knows her. Oh, two of them, right? Judith and Cheryl and Michelle. They have tickets for this event. Spectacular thing is going to happen. And then on Sunday, just a reminder, if you are a woman, if you know a woman, if you are friends with a woman, please come to hers. It is our annual celebration of the spirit of the Caribbean woman. It is going to be at Colony West in Tamarack. Tickets are $30 right now. If you wait until Sunday, it will be $35. There will be entertainment and edification and upliftment and all the wonderful things. So we are hopeful to see you there. Jamaican Women of Florida will be modeling in our fashion show as always because they're all fabulous. And yeah, that's it.
we're going to take a photo so Dr. Niholson can carry back and show it to his colleagues that he had an audience. So please join us right